She always was this cruel. The poor thing doesn't know what to do.
Thank you for joining us this evening. We have an important announcement to share that will redefine our future together.
What's that?
The path ahead requires honesty. We cannot build a future until we acknowledge the ruins of the past.
The first thing she noticed was the smell. Warm bread, melted butter, and something rich and expensive she couldn't name. The second thing she noticed was the way everyone else noticed her. Conversations thinned as she stepped inside, like a room holding its breath. Her coat was too thin for the season, her shoes worn down at the heels, her hands trembling not from cold but from hunger she had learned to disguise as politeness. Still, she lifted her chin and spoke softly as if softness itself could buy mercy. "Excuse me," she said to the hostess, her voice steady despite the ache in her stomach. "When you're done for the night, may I have any leftovers?" A laugh cut through the air before the hostess could answer. It came from a woman seated near the center of the restaurant, draped in silk and confidence, her table crowded with half-finished plates and crystal glasses. She didn't look up at first, just smiled at her companions as if she'd been given a private joke. Then she turned, slow and deliberate, her eyes traveling over the stranger from head to toe. The smile sharpened. "Leftovers," the woman repeated, loud enough for the room to hear. "This isn't a soup kitchen." A few diners shifted uncomfortably. Others watched with open curiosity, the way people do when cruelty promises to be entertaining. "I'll take anything," the girl said quickly. "Bread maybe. I don't want to disturb anyone." The woman rose from her chair. She was tall, impeccably dressed, every movement practiced as if life itself had taught her she would always be obeyed. She stepped closer, heels clicking like punctuation marks. "You want food," she said, lowering her voice. "Then earn it." The girl's eyes flickered, confusion passing over her face. "I can work," she offered. "Clean tables. Wash dishes." The woman laughed again, this time colder. "No. I have something better in mind." She glanced around, savoring the attention. "Kiss my shoes." A silence fell, heavy and suffocating. The girl stared at the polished leather inches from her face. The shoes were flawless, untouched by the streets that had chewed her own apart. For a moment, pride flared in her chest, an old, stubborn thing she thought hunger had killed long ago. She straightened as if to leave. Then her stomach betrayed her with a quiet, humiliating sound. The woman noticed. Her smile widened. "Well," she asked. "It's a simple choice. Dignity, or dinner." Slowly the girl knelt. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone whispered that it was shameful. Someone else said nothing, eyes glued to the scene. The girl's hands rested on the floor, cool marble biting into her palms. As she leaned forward, her face inches from the shoe, her expression changed, not into despair but into something far more unreadable. Calm, focused, almost amused. The woman didn't notice. She was too busy enjoying the power of the moment, the way a predator enjoys the stillness before the strike. "Go on," she urged. "Everyone's watching." The girl paused, lips hovering just above the leather, and then her gaze lifted, not to the woman's face but beyond her, to the far wall where a series of framed documents hung in soft golden light. Licenses. Certificates. A familiar crest embossed in gold. Something subtle shifted in her eyes. She smiled. And as her lips finally touched the shoe, a man near the bar froze mid-sip, recognition flashing across his face, because he had seen that smile before. On a different night in a different room, when contracts were signed and fortunes changed. And just as he began to rise from his seat, the restaurant doors opened and everything was about to change. The doors swung open with a quiet authority that somehow cut through the murmurs, and a gust of cool night air slipped inside. A man in a tailored dark coat stepped in, his presence subtle yet commanding, the kind that didn't demand attention but inevitably gathered it. He paused when he saw the scene unfolding. The woman standing in triumph, the girl still kneeling, the crowd suspended between discomfort and fascination. "Sir, we're about to close," the hostess began nervously, then stopped when she recognized him. Her posture changed instantly. "Mr. Hale." The name rippled through the room like a dropped glass. The man's gaze moved from the hostess to the kneeling girl, then to the woman whose shoe had just been kissed. His expression tightened, not with anger yet but with calculation. He took a step forward, then another, until he stood close enough to hear the girl's quiet breath. "What's going on here?" he asked calmly. The woman turned, irritation flashing across her face before melting into a practiced smile. "Oh, nothing you need to worry about. Just handling a little situation." Mr. Hale's eyes flicked down to the girl. On the floor. "She wanted leftovers," the woman said lightly. "I offered her a way to earn them. Very generous of me, really." The girl slowly rose to her feet, brushing her hands together, the smile still faintly playing on her lips. She didn't look at Mr. Hale right away. Instead, she glanced again at the framed documents on the wall, lingering just a second longer than necessary. Mr. Hale followed her gaze. Something in his face changed. "You," he said quietly, looking back at her. "What's your name?" The woman scoffed. "Does it matter?" "It does to me," he replied without looking at her. The girl finally met his eyes. "My name is Ayesha." The way she said it, clear, unashamed, made a few heads turn. Mr. Hale inhaled slowly. "Ayesha," he repeated as if tasting the word. "When did you arrive in the city?" 3 weeks ago, she said. "Though I was born not far from here." The woman crossed her arms. "This is ridiculous. If you're going to interrogate beggars, do it outside. You're disturbing my dinner." Mr. Hale's jaw tightened. "Your dinner?" he echoed. "Yes. Mine," she said sharply. "I'm a valued patron. Ask anyone." "I don't doubt that," he replied. Then without raising his voice he said, "Manager." The manager appeared almost instantly, beads of sweat on his forehead. "Yes, sir." "Why is a guest kneeling on the floor of my restaurant?" Mr. Hale asked. The woman's smile faltered. "Your restaurant." The manager swallowed. "Sir, she's not a guest, she asked for leftovers," Ayesha finished gently. "Because I was hungry." Mr. Hale looked at the manager. "And this," he gestured toward the woman, "was your solution?" The manager glanced at the woman, then back at Mr. Hale. I wasn't aware, sir." The woman laughed, a brittle sound. "Oh, come on. Don't pretend this is some moral crisis." She agreed to it. "Did you?" Mr. Hale asked Ayesha. She nodded once. "I did." "Why?" he asked. "Because I wanted to see something," she replied. The woman frowned. "See what?" Ayesha turned to her then, eyes calm, voice steady. "How people behave when they believe no one important is watching." A murmur ran through the room. Mr. Hale studied Ayesha more closely now. The straightness of her posture, the quiet confidence beneath the worn coat, the way she didn't shrink under attention. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, respect crept into his expression. The woman scoffed again, but there was unease in it now. Listen to her. Acting philosophical for scraps. Ayesha smiled faintly. "I wasn't acting." Mr. Hale exhaled. "Ayesha, would you like to sit?" "I'm fine standing," she said. "But thank you." He nodded, then turned to the woman. "You should apologize." Her eyes widened. "Apologize? To her?" "Yes." The room seemed to lean in. "I will not," the woman snapped. "This is absurd." "I was humoring her." Mr. Hale's voice cooled. "Then allow me to humor you. You see, this restaurant prides itself on discretion, dignity, and respect. All of which you violated." The woman's face flushed. "Do you know who I am?" "I know exactly who you are," he said. "And I know who you are not." He took a step back. "I spend more here in a month than most people make in a year." "And yet," Mr. Hale said, "you couldn't afford kindness." A quiet gasp escaped someone near the window. Ayesha watched silently, her expression unreadable, as if she were observing a play she already knew the ending to. The woman's composure cracked, anger seeping through. "This is discrimination. I'll speak to the owner." Mr. Hale turned to Ayesha. "Would you like to do the honors?" The woman froze. "What does that mean?" Ayesha stepped forward, her worn shoes whispering against the marble floor. She reached into her coat slowly, deliberately. A few diners leaned forward, curiosity burning brighter than discomfort now. She pulled out a slim leather folder, edges scuffed from use but carefully kept. Opening it, she removed a single document and handed it to the manager. Please read the name at the top, she said softly. The manager's eyes scanned the page. His face drained of color. Sir, he whispered to Mr. Hale, voice shaking, this is the ownership deed. The room erupted into shocked murmurs. The woman laughed loudly, desperate. That's impossible. Alara turned to her. Is it? Mr. Hale looked at Alara with something close to admiration. She's been overseas for years, he said to the room. The sole owner. Silent partner. She asked me not to announce her return. The woman's lips parted but no sound came out. Alara met her gaze steadily. I didn't come tonight as the owner, she said. I came as myself. The silence that followed was suffocating. The woman's knees seemed to weaken. This is some kind of joke. Alara tilted her head slightly. Was it a joke when you asked me to kneel? The woman swallowed hard. Mr. Hale spoke again. Security. 2 guards appeared at the edge of the room. No, the woman said quickly. Wait, this can be fixed. Alara raised a hand, stopping the guards. She walked closer to the woman, stopping just inches away. I don't want revenge, she said calmly. I wanted understanding. The woman's eyes flickered, fear now unmistakable. I didn't know, she whispered. Alara's voice softened but only slightly. That's the point. She turned away, addressing the room now. Hunger doesn't erase dignity. Power reveals character. No one spoke. Alara exhaled, then looked at Mr. Hale. I'm actually very hungry. He smiled. Then let's eat. As staff scrambled into motion, whispers spread, eyes following Alara with awe, guilt, and curiosity.
Ahead requires
the woman
honesty.
remained frozen, her world tilting as Alara walked past her without another glance, unaware that this night was only the beginning, and the consequences of what had been revealed were about to ripple far beyond these walls. The table they prepared for her was not the best in the room, not the one with the dramatic view or the hushed reverence of status. Alara chose a simple corner instead, where she could see everyone without being placed above them. As she sat down, the noise of the restaurant slowly returned, but it was different now, quieter, humbled, as if every clink of cutlery carried a second meaning. Plates arrived one by one, warm and generous, the kind of food made with care rather than performance. Alara took her first bite slowly. It tasted like relief, like survival, like truth. Across the room, the woman who had demanded her humiliation stood trembling, her world unraveling thread by thread. Her expensive confidence had evaporated, replaced by something raw and small. She tried to speak, but the words collapsed in her throat. No one rushed to comfort her. For the first time that evening she was invisible. Alara noticed, but she did not smile. When she finished eating, she rose, not with the stiffness of someone exhausted, but with the calm of someone restored. Conversations stopped again as she stood. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. I didn't reveal who I was to shame anyone, she said gently. I revealed it because too many people believe kindness is optional when power is involved. Her eyes swept the room, not accusing, just present. Tonight, many of you watched a stranger kneel and said nothing. Some of you felt uncomfortable. Some entertained yourselves with silence. And a few wanted to intervene but didn't. He paused, letting the truth settle. That doesn't make you evil, she continued. It makes you human. But humanity is not proven by what we feel. It's proven by what we do. The weight of her words pressed into the room, heavy but necessary. She turned then not to the diners but to the staff.
The path ahead
the hostess, the servers,
honesty.
the cooks peeking from behind the kitchen
cannot
doors.
Build a future until
no
we
one who
acknowledge the
enters
ruins
this
of the
place should
past.
ever have to beg for dignity. If they are hungry, feed them. If they are tired, let them rest. And if they have nothing, give them respect first. Everything else follows. Tears welled in the hostess's eyes. The manager nodded deeply, shame and resolve warring on his face. Alara finally looked at the woman. Not with anger. With clarity. You asked me to kiss your shoes, Alara said softly. But the truth is, you were the one kneeling, just not where you could see it. The woman broke then. Her shoulders collapsed and she covered her face, the sound she made not dramatic, not loud, but devastatingly human. A sob stripped of pride. Alara didn't wait for an apology. She didn't need it. She turned and walked toward the door. Outside, the city breathed, cars passing, lights flickering, the indifferent rhythm of life continuing. Mr. Hale followed her out, keeping a respectful distance. You could have destroyed her, he said quietly. Legally. Publicly. Ilara stopped beneath a street lamp, its glow soft against the night. Destruction is easy, she replied. Transformation is harder. He nodded. What will you do now? She looked out at the street, at the people walking past with their own hidden stories, their own quiet battles. I'll start by making sure no one ever has to ask for leftovers here again. And she did. In the weeks that followed, the restaurant changed, not in luxury but in soul. A discreet sign appeared near the entrance. If you are hungry, come in. No explanation required. Meals were served without questions, without judgment. Some came ashamed. Others came angry. All left fed. Word spread quietly at first, then louder. Other restaurants followed. Then cafes. Then bakeries. Not because they were forced to, but because they were inspired. The woman never returned. But Ilara heard about her. She sold her jewelry. Apologized privately to the staff. Began volunteering at a shelter across town, where no one recognized her and no one cared who she used to be. Change, Ilara knew, did not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it arrived on its knees. Months later, a young girl stood outside the restaurant, staring at the window, hesitating. Ilara saw her and walked out herself. Are you hungry? She asked. The girl nodded, eyes downcast. Ilara opened the door and gestured inside. Then you belong here. Years passed. The story of the night a powerful woman demanded humiliation, and received awakening instead, became legend. Retold not for its shock but for its reversal. People argued about details. Some exaggerated. Some doubted it ever happened. Ilara never corrected them. She didn't need credit. Because the real ending wasn't in the revelation of ownership or the fall of arrogance, or even the redemption that followed. The real ending lived in small, quiet moments. In warm meals served without conditions, in doors opened instead of closed, in the understanding that dignity should never be something a person has to earn. And sometimes the greatest power in the room belongs not to the one who stands tallest, but to the one who once knelt, stood back up, and chose mercy anyway.